Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today I thought that I would review and go over the PvE Roundtable from yesterday. Obviously I was a part of it. Big thank you to King's Isle and big thank you to White Tiger. It was an amazing experience and I was really happy that I got to go on there and ask some of the questions that I particularly wanted to ask. So today I thought I would go over that roundtable. I'm using the Atmoplex's notes, so make sure to go follow them on Twitter. But I am going to be offering my own input because obviously I was there, so I can give you my experience of it beyond simply the notes. So let's get started. I'm going to kind of highlight what I thought some of the more important things are afterwards anyways, but let's get into it. So first off, the next year goal plan is to explore the idea of main story content on hard mode. Levels of difficulty is definitely something they can explore, but they have to keep in mind the level of effort to do that. They're thinking about ways they can do that which aren't amplifying stats. So one of the most major ways that they wanted to do that, and I'm sure this will come up again later, but one of the most major ways they wanted to do that I saw was that they want to improve the AI of enemy mobs. And I thought that this was a really good idea because as I said last video, I don't think a lot of people think about that. A lot of people, when they think of improving difficulty, is health or cheats, stuff like that, but they don't think about the fact that really the AI just isn't as smart as it should be. Like, for example, I can think of countless cases in my Wiz career, I guess I'll call it a career, my Wiz career, that an enemy or a boss passed on the last round. It could have hit me or killed me when I was hitting it and killing it. I don't know why. I don't know if there's something programmed into the AI that recognizes it's their last round so they pass, but the amount of times that an enemy is passed like that is ridiculous. So they want to improve the AI to make it so it's a bit more difficult in that regard. They want to make sure people can hold onto Catacombs gear long enough that it feels worth it. We're approaching the point where we get new gear to replace it, but they don't want to invalidate the effort players put in. It was definitely a lot grindier than usual, but it was worth it. They waited 2 years, it's time to move on. The answer is yes. So basically, this is saying, for the Catacombs gear, obviously it was one of the most grindiest gear sets to get. They wanted to make sure that it lasted as long as it could, because players aren't going to want to farm for new gear every 10 levels. They kind of want it to be spread out, right? Like spread out amongst 20, 30 levels. That's what they think about the Catacombs gear at this point, is that the Catacombs gear definitely needed to last longer than like 10 levels, but it's reached a point where it's starting to run its course and they're ready to move on. As we saw with the Lemuria gear, it's actually a decent replacement. I'm sure next world, whatever it is, or next big dungeon, it's going to be a better replacement, like a solidly better replacement than Dragoon gear. Ratbeard would love to tackle crafting, but he's not sure he'll get his wish as soon as he like. I believe that he was in the comment section of it, just kind of chatting. They'd like to improve mob AI and start making them a lot smarter and make a lot better decisions in combat. It won't magically get harder, but they will stop trying to do really silly decisions that feel like a bug. Challenging mobs will make decisions that challenge the player. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, and I was really excited to hear this from them because it definitely seems like a good idea to focus on. And I know that Matt recognizes that, Matt Nedick, he mentioned a few times, like it is a solid idea and the future of Wizard101 to improve the AI and make them better. Roshambo spells are being fine-tuned, and they want to wait to allow them in PvE until there's such reasons such as enemies start making smarter decisions. They'd also give the spells to various mobs. I feel like this is good as well. They just kind of want to make it so that it's more fine-tuned and there's more reason to use them, because the reason why they're being designed now is in PvE to be a counter to certain schools. In PvE, they don't feel as important. We don't want players to feel like they don't have to go back to old content. This is something important as well that I wanted to focus on, especially during the roundtable, is that they seemed to want to focus on making it so that there is more life into the game, right? It's not like you just rush through the game. They felt like a lot of people were just rushing through the game as fast as they can, and they want to stop that. They don't want it so that you grind through the entire game. Like, you know, you don't need the Sigma grind cent mentality. You just kind of like need to chill and experience the games that's meant to be experienced. And I know, like, I'm victim of that. Like, I've definitely had times where I've just run through the game as fast as possible, and they want to make it so that there's actually a reason to experience the old content. That's really good news on my part. That means that some of the older worlds will be getting more focus in the future, which is really nice. Artie believes the spell elements need to be integrated more into the normal play experience and drop as you quest in the game. They're aware of the player's threshold and how they want to acquire spell elements. Why would you want to farm 140 to 150 content to get a rank 1 spellament? They're aware of that, and they're looking how to fix that in the future. There's inconsistency in terms of how spellmans have been acquired thus far. They need to normalize these things. It doesn't feel good. This is one of the biggest things I got out of this stream, and I need you guys to focus on this, because this is what I was most interested in, and I asked like 2 or 3 questions on this. Are spell elements going to be changed to be less pay to win and more solid in the future in regard to what we're actually doing? And the answer to that seems to be a resounding yes. They understand the player base's opinion on spell elements. In chat, and they were reading the chat, by the way, just so you guys know, in the chat, they saw everyone, literally everyone, because there was like 30 people who said it, is that spell elements are a good idea, but the execution is flawed. They recognize that fact, and they want to adjust it so that spell elements are gotten more throughout the game. Now, I would like to say they don't want spell elements to be super common. That's something that they wanted to stress. Spell elements are designed to be something that you gradually upgrade your spell over time, an interesting thing that could potentially see the lifespan of a spell increase. For example, they don't want you to replace Firecat. If you upgrade as Firecat with spell elements, you shouldn't be replacing it, say, maybe after Wizard City. Maybe you keep it into, like, decently into Crocotopia and maybe even Marleybone, right? And they want to make it so that there's more reason to use these. And to do that, they thought of some different ideas, whether it be from farming bosses. One thing that I know that they mentioned in passing was, in Caramel and Lemuria, they have it so that each quest drops a spell element and side quests drop 2. They said that they could look into some ways to do that as well. So for all of you that hate spell elements, it looks like you're getting your wish, and in the future, spell elements are going to be re-implemented in a much better way. This, for me, was the biggest thing I got out of the roundtable. It means that they are actually listening to the community. I could tell immediately by the developers, by what they were saying, they listened to the community. I can say that with 100% certainty after that. And they definitely want to adhere to our wishes, right? They don't want us to be angry or disappointed in the game, and they see that spell elements have disappointed us. So they're going about ways to fix it, and that means everything to me. It means that the developers are listening, and it means that they are actively working to a better game, which I love. So thank you. And I hope you all can recognize that in the future. Hopefully it's within the next few updates. I imagine we're going to get it in a spring or summer update, because that's usually how King's Isle works. Major updates are for winter, fall, and then the actual game features are spring, summer. There's nothing definitive right now for converting Lore Master spell drops to spell elements, although they're looking into it. And along with that, not every spell will have a spell element path. This is really important to me. And something that's important to know. They want it so that spell elements are actively used, but they don't want them overused. The example that Magnetic gave was that there's never going to be a spell element for something like Feint, right? Like, how would you upgrade Feint? You don't want it so it does, like, say, plus 100% to the enemy, plus 10% on yourself. That would be broken. What they want to do is they want to balance it so that these spells are spell elements are a legitimate upgrade, but they're not too broken, and they're not something that changes the flow of the game and breaks it later on. They don't want it so that you say, oh, this game is too easy, and then you're like, why is it too easy? And it's because they upgraded spell elements, right? So that is their main goal, and something that I think is pretty good. This last point, and something that was another major point that I wanted to ask about that I got a satisfying response for, was, okay, see, I think Atmoplex might have this backwards, because from what I understood, you can see here, for PvP, they have to raise the damage intersection cap, and they're considering changing it based on level. However, for PvE, the result won't always just be pumping up numbers. They're increasing damage at a % value, and they want to keep it in a tight control, although they're not against raising it over 150. From what I understood, this is not what they said. I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong if you were there. But from what I understood, what they said is that for PvP, they're satisfied with the damage cap, and it was a necessary thing, and they probably won't be raising it over 150 for a while. For PvE, on the other hand, they said that they almost guaranteed are planning on raising the cap. They said specifically for PvE that they plan on every 10 levels potentially raising the level cap by another, or the damage cap by another 10%. So right now at 150, the damage intersection is 150. They said potentially for 160, it would be 160, and so on and so forth, so that eventually we reach a point where the damage continues to flow with us and it continues to feel like a bonus, but not too powerful. That is what I got from it. I mean, I could be wrong, but that is what Mattnetic said, was that he plans on raising it potentially 10% every 10 levels, which I think personally is a good idea and will stop the game from getting bland. Now that I've kind of gone over every point, let me talk about a point I particularly wanted to talk about, was that for the damage intersection, what they want you to do is they want you to focus on other stats. They don't want it so that you're purely min-maxing damage. They want it so that you see, okay, so maybe damage is getting diminishing returns right now, so let's focus more on health, or focus more on resist. And I think this is a really interesting idea, and it kind of went with an unmentioned, without saying, Mattnetic kind of like hinted at the fact, he was like, okay, so the enemies are doing more damage, so you need more health and resist. He didn't say it directly, but that is exactly what they did in Lemuria. I can tell you from experience, from the test realm, the enemies do damage. They damage you a lot. And I think that their plan is they want to start making it so that there's more focus on resist, more focus on health than actually just purely focusing on damage, because they don't want you to have 5,000 damage, right? They want you to kind of have a balance of each stat. Obviously, you still focus on damage, you still get it above 150, but you're going to want those other damage things as well. They're kind of making it so that a quint damage pet isn't really the way to go. Potentially a triple-double is the better way to go. And I see this, I recognize it, and I think it's genuinely a good idea. I'm sure not everyone agrees with that, but I think it's a good idea to keep the game fresh instead of just purely focusing everything on stats, specifically the damage stat, so that like 200 levels from now, we have like 5,000 damage and everyone's like, oh, I do so much damage, what the heck? You guys need to realize that the higher the damage is, the higher enemy health is, and it just like it's just kind of a bit boring, because by that point, it's just a numbers game, right? It's like, if we have, say, 300% damage, they need to account for that and make every enemy probably about 3 times stronger than they currently are. Right now, say a boss has 20,000 health, that's gonna have 60,000 health. And then they need to account for the damage, the difficulty curve of the worlds itself. That boss is probably gonna have 80,000 health, and they don't want bosses to have 100,000 health on average in a world, because it just is such an inflated number. They want to keep that number down and keep it more balanced. I think this will be good in regards to the longevity of the game. I don't know if everyone will agree, but I think so personally. But that's really it for today. That's what I wanted to go over on the Roundtable experience. Let me know what you thought of it. I thought it was an amazing experience, and I'm very happy I was invited to it. I'm surprised I was invited to it. I felt like there was quite a few better choices, but you know what? I was invited, so I'm going to make the most of it. I thought it was great, and I got to ask some questions that I've been dying to ask, like the intersection of damage and Spelmans, both things I really wanted to know about, and both that I got really satisfying answers for. I think that my hope of the future of this game has massively improved just over the last day. I think that it's very easy to see that both Matt, Artie, obviously Spark, talked a little bit less on the development side, but I really have a firm belief that the developers have our best interests in heart. And that in of itself makes me happy. It makes me hopeful, because I know that like a lot of people have been, you know, like losing hope because of the Gamigo situation, the pay to win pack situation. But I can definitely say definitively the devs have our interests in heart, and that's what matters to me. So let me know what you think in the comments below. That's it for today. Drop a like, hit the sub button. As I said in the past, I'm trying to hit 4,000 subs before the end of the year, so make sure to hit the sub button. Otherwise, that's it though. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Adios.